Someone who is not confused is my special guest for today, Michael de Percy. AEDT viewers will know him as a regular on Specky TV and a weekly contributor. He is also a senior lecturer of political science and economics. Michael, welcome to my show.
It's great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Well, before we get into the nitty-gritty of modern politics, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you properly to our audience. Give us a brief overview of Michael de Percy. Who are you and what do you specialise in?
So I'm a political scientist and I actually specialise in political institutions, and I'm really interested in how decisions made in the past affect our choices into the future. And I've capitalised on that in terms of transport, telecommunications and energy systems because network technologies have particular legacies that make really important contributions, not just in terms of what we're able to do with those technologies, but also how our cultures evolve around them as well. So in terms of political science, though, I'm very passionate about political ideologies and their origins. And it's interesting that it stems from my own upbringing. So unlike our Prime Minister, I wasn't brought up in Govey housing, but I was brought up in Kingswood near Penrith in a tough suburb there. And my parents worked 2 jobs each to get us through. So we didn't have any government handouts to help us out. And I guess that formulates my idea of our interaction with the state. And I must admit, as a young boy in Kingswood, we often had the government services and child services and others interfering in our lives in ways that I didn't like, even though I was very young. And so I've had that sort of reaction against the government ever since that time.
Well, you've also had a pretty varied career and life. What's one of the craziest things you've done for work that you can remember that sticks out?
I think after I finished high school, I remember I finished high school on the 20th of November 1987, and on the 23rd of November I was up on the Cape York Peninsula, and I was working as a chainman, what they call a surveyor's assistant now, and the job was using axes, brush hooks and chainsaws to clear the photo points for RAF-based Sherga, the 3 initial sites. So we're living in the slaughterhouse at Sudley Station and then later in Billy's Lagoon Station. But look, I can remember being up to my neck in mangrove swamp with a chainsaw over my head trying to clear a site while green ants were biting me to pieces. And that's probably the craziest thing I've ever been involved in, outside of the army, of course.
It also would have been a really disappointing way to go. Like if that's your final story, you'd be like, oh, why?